Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to talk about the date and time in Java. Java has classes to work with the date and time API. It was introduced in Java version 8. Okay. And those classes that were introduced in Java version 8, they allow us to manipulate the date and time. Okay. And all those classes that are introduced in Java 8 for manipulating date and time are presented in a package called time package. And this time package is the sub package of Java package, which means in order to use any of those classes that can help us to manipulate the date and time, we need to import them from this package. And those classes are, first one is LocalDate, which is used for manipulating the date. And second one is LocalTime, which is used for manipulating the time. And third one is LocalDate and time. It is the combination of both LocalDate and LocalTime used for manipulating date and time both. Okay. And then lastly is datetime formatter, which is used for formatting the LocalDate, LocalTime, and LocalDateTime, those classes objects. Okay. And all those class objects, all those LocalDate, LocalTime, and LocalDateTime, those classes that are used for manipulating those classes, they are immutable. So what that means is that if you create the objects of one of those three classes, LocalDate, LocalTime, and LocalDateTime, the object, once it's created, it is unchangeable. You cannot make any modification to that object at all. We are going to talk about the LocalDate class. So the LocalDate class, it is used for manipulating the date. Okay. It is a class that provides the ability to use the years, months, and days to represent dates numerically. Okay. So whenever you need to create a variable that can include the year, months, and days of a specific date, then you may use the LocalDate because it can help you to it can help you to use the years, months, days, those components of the dates numerically. Okay. And this LocalDate class, it is presented in the time package, which is a sub package of Java. So in order to use this class, first of all, you need to import it from java.time, this package. Okay. And once you import it, then you will be able to create the LocalDate variables. For example, you can use the LocalDate for the variables such as birth date, graduation date, hire date, start date, because all those variables, they need to include the specific date. That includes the year, months, and date. Okay. And in order to use the LocalDate, you should also have the instance of LocalDate to be created. And in order to create the instance of the LocalDate, we can use the static methods of the LocalDate class to get the LocalDate object. That's how we create the LocalDate object, by calling the static methods of the LocalDate class. So there are two static methods that can help you to create the LocalDate object. One is now method. Once you call the now method from the LocalDate, it is going to return your LocalDate object with the current date, with today's date. Okay. For example, this is how I can call the now method. So if I want to get the today's date from the LocalDate, I will call now method. It's going to return me LocalDate object with today's date in it. And then I can assign it to a LocalDate variable if I wish to reuse this LocalDate object. So this now method is one way to get the LocalDate object. And another way to get the LocalDate object is by using the of method. So this of method, it also returns the LocalDate object. Okay. But it returns it with the specified years, months, and the days. Which means when you use the of method, you will be able to specify the specific year, months, and day. You can give the number for them. Okay. For example, you see, if I create a variable birthday and data type is LocalDate, in order to instantiate this variable, I can use the of method, and then I can pass the birth year, birth months, and also the birthday. Okay. And same goes with the hire date. Okay. You can use the of method so that you can specify all the components of the date, the year, months, and day, all of them. And once you get the LocalDate objects, you are also able to use the methods of the LocalDate class. Okay. So through the object, you can call those methods. We have get year, get month, Get months value. Get year basically it gets you the number of the year, and get months it gets you the name of the it gets you the name of the month, and get months value it gets you the months number. Okay, and we also have get day of week. It's going to return you what day is from the week, day of months, day of year, all those methods. You will be able to use it once you have the local date object that is created. And the names of those methods, they already tell you what the functionality of the methods are, right? For example, is before, is after, is leap year. Those methods, they will return you Boolean. Okay, let's say you are trying to verify if the specific year is a leap year or not. Once you have the local date object, you can call this is leap year method to verify it. So once you have the local date object, you do have all those useful functions of the local date that you can use. We are going to do practice with the local date class. So whenever you would like to manipulate the date and time, you can use the local date or local time, those classes. And in order to use the local date class, first of all, you need to have the local date object. And to create the local date object, you can use now method or of method. When you use the now method, it is going to return you the current date as a local date object. For example, so from the local date, by the way, this local date class has to be imported from the time package, which is the sub package of Java. From the local date class, I can call this now method. And as you can see, the return type is local date. So it will give us the local date object. And if you wish to reuse this local date object that this now method is returning, then you can, of course, assign it to a variable of local date. For example, today. So now, when I print this variable today, it is going to give me today's date. Okay. And what if you would like to create a local date object with the specified year, months, and day? In this case, you need to use the of method of local date, which allows you to provide 3 arguments. First argument will be for the year, the number of the year, then the number of the months, and then last argument will be the number of the day. Okay. So for example, if I need to create another local date object, I can call this of method, and then I can provide the year. For example, let's say 1985, and also the month's number, let's say July 5th. So now I do have a local date object that I will get from this of method. And then I can also assign it to another local date variable if I wish to reuse it. And if you display this variable that you just declared, then it's going to give you 1985 June 5th. So you see, this is the default format of printing local date objects. And if you wish to modify them, if you wish to format them, later on we can use the datetime formatter. Okay. So once you have those local date objects are created, you are also able to use the methods of local date objects. Okay. So for example, I can call the methods like any of those methods I can call it. You see, get months, get year, any of those methods, then they will return me the year, months. And I can also use the methods like is after, is before, is leap year. I can also use the minus days, minus months, all of those methods to get the specific result that I'm looking for. Okay.